You swiped that card before you even stopped to think if you could afford it. It felt right in the moment, and honestly, it almost always seems to feel right. The new phone, the designer bag, the vacation trip, all were bought on borrowed money. And every single month, a little more of your actual future quietly gets sold away. My name is Ryan, and I spend way too much time thinking about personal finance. If you're someone who keeps borrowing for things you honestly don't even need, listen up. Make sure to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it helps. Because what I'm going to share today genuinely changed how I think about money completely. Here's the thing, most people believe that borrowing is just a normal part of life, but there is a massive difference between borrowing smart and borrowing just to look good. One builds your future quietly, while the other one slowly tears your future right apart. Most people are doing the second one without even realizing that is what they're doing. Look, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be fully honest. When did you last buy something expensive mostly because someone else might actually notice it? A new car, a watch, a holiday? Financed, of course, because you wanted to impress. And the people you were trying to impress, they weren't even paying that much attention. That right there is the trap, and it costs millions of people their financial freedom. A Federal Reserve study showed nearly 40% of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency. Yet those same people are still financing luxury items on credit cards with high interest. Think about that for 1 second. Broke but still borrowing money just to look wealthy. This is not just a financial problem. It is actually a deeply psychological one too. Until you understand the psychology behind it, no budget or advice will ever truly work. This is where it gets really interesting, and most financial advice skips over this entirely. Before the fix, you need to see exactly how deep this rabbit hole truly goes. Let's talk about a real number that should genuinely bother you. The average American household carries more than $6,000 in credit card debt. That debt is not mostly from emergencies. The bulk of it came from everyday purchases, things that felt exciting in the moment but faded quickly. Now you might be thinking, I use credit responsibly. But most people don't realize the difference between using credit and being fully controlled by it. Here's a simple test. If you borrowed money to buy something that instantly lost value, that purchase did not help you build anything at all. A luxury watch, an upgraded phone, a designer outfit, none of these grow in value. They just bleed your money every month through interest payments. Here's the math. Finance $1,000 at 20% interest. Within 2 years, you have paid back over $1,200 for one depreciating item. That item might be worth $200 on resale, but you are still sending money to the bank every month because of that one purchase. This is what I call a wealth leak. And most people have 3 or 4 of these running quietly in their financial life at once. Each leak seems small, maybe $50 here and $70 there, but across 12 months, you are silently losing over $1,000 in interest. Now imagine that same money invested instead. At 8% annual returns, $1,000 today grows to over $4,000 in just 20 years. The real cost is not just the interest paid, it is also the future wealth you sacrificed by choosing not to invest that money instead. Economists call this opportunity cost, and it is probably the single most powerful financial concept that most people have honestly never truly thought about before. Every single dollar is a decision. You are either putting it to work for your future or funding a lifestyle you honestly cannot yet afford. And the saddest part, most people already know this somewhere deep down. They just have never actually been shown what the real alternative looks like. Let me walk you through 2 people, same age, same income, and the same starting point, each making just one different financial decision at 25. Person A gets a raise and upgrades their car on credit. Life looks great on the outside, but the debt grows silently every single year. Person B gets the same raise. They keep their lifestyle the same and redirect that extra money straight into a low-cost index fund every month. Fast forward 25 years. Person A still has the nice car but is still broke, still in debt, and still working just to stay afloat. Person B now has over $300,000 in investments, not through luck, but by making one consistent, disciplined choice every month from age 25. Same income, same starting point. One invested, one impressed. That difference, made quietly over 25 years, is the gap between financial freedom and financial stress. Here's what most people miss. The ones who look wealthy are very often broke, while those quietly building real wealth almost never look the part. There is a term for this in economics: conspicuous consumption. It means spending to signal status, and it is quietly destroying wealth every single day. Behavioral psychology shows that our deep need to appear successful overrides rational financial decision-making more often than most of us would ever care to admit. Think about the last thing you bought mainly to impress others, not because you truly needed it, but purely for the signal it would send. That feeling is real. It is not a flaw. It is a wired human instinct that advertisers and social media platforms exploit every single day. But here is the part nobody really talks about. There is one specific moment that most people walk right past, and it changes absolutely everything. That moment is when you get a raise, a bonus, or extra money, and you immediately think about what you can now afford to buy. Most people call it lifestyle inflation. I call it the single most reliable way to stay financially stuck, no matter how much you ever earn. Every time your income rises, your spending rises to match it, and sometimes even exceeds it, leaving wealth building completely off the table yet again. It is a cycle that truly feels like progress because life looks better on the outside, but your bank account quietly tells the real truth. So how do you actually break the cycle? It starts with one simple but surprisingly uncomfortable shift in the way you define your personal success. Right now, most people measure success by what they own: the car, the home, the clothes. But truly real wealth is mostly invisible to everyone. The wealthiest people you will ever meet often drive ordinary cars, wear simple clothes, and never once feel any need to prove a single thing. That is not an accident. That is a deliberate and deeply intentional choice, one that most people dismiss because it looks too boring from outside. Here's the thing: boring builds real wealth. Flashy destroys it. And the earlier you truly accept that fact, the faster your financial life will transform. Now let's talk about a real framework that works. It is simply called Invest First, and it is the foundation of every serious wealth plan. The rule is simple. Before you spend a single dollar on anything optional, you pay your future self first. Every single paycheck, without any exception. That means automating your investments the very same day your paycheck hits, before lifestyle spending even gets a single chance to quietly swallow that money. Most people save what is left after spending. Wealthy people spend what is left after saving. That one flip changes absolutely everything over time. Now you might be thinking, I don't earn enough to invest. But that exact thinking is the mindset that keeps most people permanently stuck financially. Investing $30 a month matters more than most people think. The habit builds compounding wealth that grows significantly larger the longer you keep going. Compounding is the most powerful force in personal finance. Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, and he was absolutely right. Here is how it works. Your money earns a return, then that return also earns a return, and so on, growing faster every single year. The critical variable is not how much you invest, it is how long you leave it alone. Time in the market beats timing the market. Delaying your investments by just 5 years can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in wealth, all because time was wasted impressing other people. Let that sink in completely. 5 years of borrowing for luxuries, instead of investing that same money, could ultimately cost you your entire retirement fund. Now let's get really practical. Here's a simple 3-step system that any person at any income level can begin to use starting today. Step 1. Track every single purchase you make for 30 days, not to judge yourself, but to clearly see exactly where your money is going. Most people are shocked by what they find. Subscriptions they forgot, daily coffee runs, impulse buys, all draining hundreds of dollars every single month quietly. Step 2. Decide on a fixed monthly investment amount before you spend anything else. Even $50 is a valid start. Commit and stay consistent. Step 3. Automate it completely. Set up an automatic transfer on payday so the money moves to your investment account before your brain can object. Automation removes willpower from the equation. You cannot spend money that is already gone, and that is the single most powerful savings trick in existence. Now let's address the deeper issue, the pressure, because the biggest threat to your financial future is not your income, it is your social circle. When your friends upgrade cars and go on expensive holidays, the pressure to keep up is enormous, and most people cave without ever realizing why. This is called social comparison theory, a deeply documented psychological phenomenon where we measure our own worth by comparing ourselves to people directly around us. Social media has made this even worse. Every single day you see curated highlights of what others own, each post designed to trigger your envy.
The people in those photos are very often just as broke as everyone else, sometimes even more so, financing an image they simply cannot afford.
You are literally borrowing money to compete with people who are also borrowing money, in a race where the finish line is debt, not wealth. Once you see it that way, the whole thing starts to look genuinely absurd, and most people, when they truly see it, want out immediately. Opting out starts with honesty. Write down your real long-term goals: freedom, security, family. Then ask if your purchases are actually supporting any of them. Most people find that their real goals have almost nothing to do with luxury items. Freedom, time, security, health. None of these require expensive debt.
This is where the mindset shift really happens. You stop chasing things that look good and start chasing things that actually feel meaningful to you.
Every dollar realigned toward your real values is a dollar no longer wasted on appearances. And that shift alone has enormous financial consequences over time. Redirecting $200 a month from debt payments to investments builds over $300,000 in 30 years. That is one decision away. That one decision is never really complicated. It is simply about choosing your future self over your current image, deliberately and consistently, every single day. Now let me talk about something almost nobody addresses: the emotional payoff of investing. Most people assume saving feels boring, but it genuinely does not. Watching your investment balance grow month after month creates a quiet but real sense of pride, one that no luxury purchase can ever truly replicate.
The freedom feeling is real, knowing that if your job disappeared tomorrow, you would be okay. That security beats any status symbol every single time.
That is what financial freedom actually feels like. Not driving a fancy car, but knowing you are not dependent on any single paycheck to survive. The beautiful irony is this: when you truly stop trying to look wealthy, you actually begin becoming wealthy. The two are almost always mutually exclusive. I have seen this play out constantly. The people quietly building real wealth are never the loudest or most flashy ones in the room, ever. They said no to upgrades, no to holidays on credit, and yes to the small, consistent monthly investments that nobody around them could see happening. Years later, they are the ones with real choices: to work or not, to travel freely, to live the life most people only dream about. That is what you are building. Not a better car, not an impressive photo, but a life with real options, real security, and real peace.
Next time you feel any urge to borrow for something your future self would regret, pause, remember this video, and always invest the money instead.
Your future self is counting on the decision you make today. Stop borrowing for luxuries. Invest, don't impress, and build the life you truly deserve.